The pandemic has taken a toll on everyone across the board, even causing many couples on the brink of divorce to reevaluate their relationship. Joining us now to reveal the top 3 things couples need to agree upon before calling their marriage quits is asset protection attorney and author of Love and Money, Ann-Margret Carosa. Welcome, Ann-Margret.
Thank you. Thanks, Dr. Batra.
So, as an assets protection attorney, let's get into it. What are some of the most important things couples should agree upon before they divorce?
You know, Dr. Phil says that we divorce or break up with a very different person than the one that we fell in love with. So, do I want my soon-to-be ex being able to make healthcare decisions for me in a hospital? If not, it's time to update that healthcare proxy and power of attorney.
So, Ann-Margret, I can't help but think like the term agreement, divorce is kind of like an oxymoron, right? So it kind of freaks me out a little bit. I'm going, how do we get these pieces? Now, these 3 things are very important and we need to agree on these before we divorce. But how do we facilitate that agreement? Do you have any tips on that? And then we'll go
I do. And we need to start with money, which is always a great motivating factor. So let's start with the fact that in the United States, the average divorce costs $15,000.
Wow.
So if we want to keep our money and not give it to divorce attorneys, the better off that we are is to agree on as many things as possible. The more areas of agreement that we can come upon, and preferably we want to put these things in writing, and we can do that in the form of a post-nuptial agreement, which is valid in 50 states. The number one thing that we want to agree on, and I think of this like the national park rule, whatever we brought in with us, we get to take back out with us. So if there are assets or property that I brought into the marriage, the expectation should be that I leave the marriage with those assets.
So the next thing that couples should agree upon is living arrangements. What's that all about?
Absolutely. So if we are living in a house that's owned by one of the parties, or we're renting an apartment and the lease is in the name of one of the parties, let's come up with a reasonable agreement for how long the other person has to make other arrangements. So it's really just a way of giving the other party a little breathing room and a little grace period to make a transition.
And I believe you said the last thing to agree upon is actually pet custody.
Yeah, a lot of people don't think about this, but 68% of U.S. households have a pet. And it really helps when a couple is splitting up to agree upon who should have custody of the pet. And that should be pretty obvious. We should know who has greater opportunities financially to cover vet bills and feeding and recreation, and who's going to have more time for socialization and giving affection to the pet. Ideally, though, we can work out a shared custody arrangement of the pet.
I think that's so good to bring up because we often think about kids, but many of us forget that the pets are part of, they're like our children.
Absolutely.
Ann-Margret, thank you so much for making us think about these things. I also love that you would incentivize these divorcing couples to reach an agreement, if only to save on the billable hours. We so appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me.